States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Before we begin, just one comment to reinstate that let's cut down any sidebar comments we have in ongoing conversations in the background. If someone's talking, let that person talk, give a chance to speak, and no on-running comments in the back of the room or whatever. Any other comments from the committee members or thoughts? Okay, Max.
So I believe we're on the land use section. I have it separated between section 12A for the current land use and section 12B for the future land use. Don't know if anyone has any preference on that. So going through page by page, I got rid of a lot of the bullet point items for building permit summaries that you used to have, because a lot of them were either residential focused that are in the house, would be in the housing section, or it's going to be talked about later on in this section anyways. And then it gives some projections, which I have a different table on those. I don't know if the bullet point format that you all see in the first page, the original first page on the left,
Yellow.
the yellow, if that's something you want to keep, or if you prefer just trimming down.
So you're saying all this information is in a table somewhere else? Because...
Yeah, building permit projections, I have for table 12-3, I was just going to, rather than just giving a lump sum, it was going to be, this is the estimated number of building permits, new structures, and the minimum estimated acres per minimum that would be developed.
So you just want to know which format we would prefer to use?
Well, if you want me to keep these bullet points on land use trends and projections and building permits, because I'm just trying to minimize it to that few tables, rather than having all these bullet points that say, oh, this number of acres are going to be converted to residential use or to commercial use, or
Right.
these number, you're going to create these number single-family units.
So 12-12 is what has happened between 2010 and 2020.
12-2.
12-2 and 12-3 is projections.
Yes, and I outlined what those projections are, just a 15% increase assumption based on what you've, like, it's going to be the same trajectory, but with a 15% increase to accommodate the last 2 years that we, just making a number.
So you're not going to give us, on the old one, you're not going to give us table 12-1, which was the overall residential land use, 2010 to 2020?
Yeah, the total number, yeah.
Just
Right,
so-
that's gone.
Yeah.
And also the change in residential land use density, right?
Previous
12-2.
Sorry. Oh, must have gotten to that one on accident. That one I can.
I like both of those, actually.
You like both of them? Yeah, I think it was like the bullet points on the first page that I was suggesting to get rid of.
Okay.
Tables 12-1 and 12-2, talking about the overall residential land use
Yes,
and the land use density.
yes,
I can keep those if everyone wants me to.
I would like that.
I agree, I like those
Yeah.
in there.
Okay.
Are we doing them, it was to 2020 dwellings, are we going to 2022 with those?
That was some, I think I need to ask about that anyways, because I just have these from 2010 to 2020. I don't know if people want me to include this to 2022 as well.
I guess it's
Most of our data, the 2010 to 2020, we sort of decided that at that time.
I think we've gone back and forth.
Yeah.
for the most part in 2020. What does the committee think?
Is it easy to get that data for 21 and 22?
Well, this is your local information.
Then I wouldn't mind seeing 2010 to 2022. Because you're just showing an overall change in dwellings
Yeah,
and density.
Right.
I agree. Well, Calvin?
Sounds fine.
Okay.
Can I just, we all had this version last week,
I see, so he redid this.
and he redid that to
Okay,
this.
all right.
So when Paul was asking, he was asking about a table
Oh,
in
all right.
the old version.
Okay, thank you,
right.
thank you. I couldn't figure out what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
no, it's.
I could see that she was puzzled, so I wanted
Yeah.
to stop and
So,
explain
Thank
it
you.
to her.
That
Christine,
makes
you don't
sense.
have an extra one of
I-
this, do you?
Don't, because I didn't realize we were
Yeah.
gonna use
I
it.
mean,
We can share.
Okay.
We're just, I'm just
Yeah, we
kind
can
of,
share.
I focused on this.
I thought maybe you might have a little copy.
Yeah.
Can I ask about an earlier thing in here? In the background up here, you know, it looks really different than that projection that we had given earlier about our growth in another section, which I can't remember which section that was, because it talked about our population declining. Can you make sure that these two, that section and this section are parallel? I don't remember where it was.
It was the first section, population demographics, and that actually should be, right, the analysis was that in the population section, West Bath population is projected to slightly change, and we just said change because the margin of error could go either way.
Well, the original one said that we were going to decrease, but.
Right, and that was then corrected.
Right,
in the-
right. But can you make these two more parallel?
Well, hold on.
Are they, or is it okay the way we
It's-
changed it?
It's pretty much the same at this
Okay,
point.
fine.
'cause
I
it's-
I just remembered that and I didn't remember what we did on it. Thank you.
Okay. So. All right,
When you're ready, I had something that, you're
yep, go ahead.
good. The first line, if you could just move of 33 persons in front of in West Bath population, because it reads like we have a population of 33, to me.
The first sentence.
The
Yeah.
first sentence, so a 2% increase of 33 persons in West Bath population, then from 1870, just,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep, so move that line.
It read weird to me, so thank you.
Okay.
Just tell us.
And then, as I said, a lot of the bullet points I'm removing, and then I'll bring back in the original charts that we requested. We then get to the West Bath permit summary, just basic outline of the number of permits that were filed, and to my knowledge, the only non-residential and commercial property developments were the community room at the fire department, the salt shed at the transfer station, the Bath Water District's water tower.
Mhm.
I believe those are the only institutional changes that happened.
I know it's just a 10-year margin, but I was curious, does it matter what year they were each built? I didn't realize that community room was so new. That really wasn't a 2020,
That's actually, I'll tell you, before 2010.
I didn't, I thought that was here.
Yeah, but he says since
Oh, since
2000.
2005. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's been
Correct.
since then.
All right.
Okay, but still, that's not that.
And then, based on the conversations we've had in the past about the public facilities and town land, I did include that little blurb, just saying at the time of writing this comprehensive plan, the town owns X acres, I don't have the exact number. And the lots include the town office, fire station, West Bath School, elementary school, the transfer station, various boat lands and other institutional uses. I did include that, and again, this is just me doing a first draft blurb based on the back and forth that happened in the previous meeting, so I don't mind amending this however people would like.
I mean, it's accurate.
They're the two historic properties of the two, it's town.
Right. So,
I think Leah's saying that the meeting house
And the Littlefield
Littlefield
School,
School.
those are both town properties.
was the town properties.
right. So you want me to specifically mention them as well?
I think it's, I think you should,
They're,
they're town-owned buildings, that's all.
Actually, when you say other institutional uses, there aren't other institutional,
I
if you could
just,
say historical buildings instead, or something, then that would cover a little bit of school and.
and historical.
Yeah.
For that is.
Or should we mention the two buildings, that's all?
either way, I mean, I just think there should be, I would put some kind of
I
reference
think
to
the two
them.
buildings should be mentioned.
They're pretty visible.
Oh, by now? By
Yes,
name?
by name.
By name? Okay.
Okay.
It's Littlefield School and Meeting House,
Yeah, what was it, Old West Bath Meeting House?
Old West Bath Meeting House. Alright.
That's that meeting house.
And Littlefield School. One word.
And, one more time?
Littlefield, one word, school.
And Littlefield School.
As opposed to big fields.
It's not a big field, it's a very little field, very little school.
Not little space?
No. It's shut.
All right. And then last sentence just says, there is also land that the town has acquired from back taxes, however, for the purposes of the comprehensive plan, the acreage from those parcels, these parcels, are not included in the total amount, just because I don't know.
Sorry.
That's good.
That's how you shake your head.
Well, I'm just, it sounds like we've acquired these properties and holding on to them.
Right.
My sense is, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that the town has, once they have established ownership of these because of a foreclosure, then the general plan has been put them up for auction and sell them.
Right, and that's why I'm saying I'm not including them in the acreage. Town will always get these.
Yeah,
as
but I
property,
wish,
but
but I wish you would,
just not.
no, I'm thinking that it would be appropriate to somehow describe that activity or that process. Although I know it's not absolutely certain that everyone's gonna be dealt with that way.
Well, for the most part, the town has sold, you know,
That's what I'm saying.
the bigger properties, these ones were, I believe, real small pieces left.
There's about 9
But I don't-
parcels
I
of
don't-
tax-owned properties.
I don't think we need to mention all these parcels in the whole process.
So that, well, that's
It
why.
says tax acquired.
So
No, and so
Well, if there's
that's,
9 parcels, why don't you put
well,
9 parcels in?
well, if I may, that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm just having this one blurb rather than parceling, saying, here are all the parcels the town owns.
No, you don't
because-
have to.
I don't think that's necessary.
It's just say 9 parcels.
And that's why that last sentence is saying town has temporary ownership. I don't know if you want, how you want to change it, but just say that that's there, because it's there now, but I can't say what's gonna happen.
It's not a static process though.
Right.
Well, the town has tax acquired property.
It fluctuates, I think.
Right at this moment, we have 9
Yeah,
pieces.
you're right.
And are all of those pieces in land that's usable, or some of them in land that can't be used?
So there are 5 parcels off the Barry's Mill that are landlocked. I'm actually looking at the deeds to see if it was ever set to, granted to heirs and assigns, because that would then deem them not landlocked. I have not had a chance to finish that, but some of them have value and could be utilized today. And I don't know the answer to the others.
Is it state, it's not state mandated that we put that in there, right? So is it
I can double check what the
that critical?
checklist, I can double check what the checklist says, but I think what's required is just saying,
That we have them?
We have tax acquired property.
let
I
me,
have the acreage, I didn't
Right.
write it tonight, but I have the amount of acres that is tabulated to those parcels.
I can see what's specifically in this, but I think I have all the map things highlighted, so I can. It's not. spaces for recreation. And then, just when you get to town-owned facilities, a map depicting the constraints to development identified in the plan. And usually what towns will do is when they're making that map, they're showing the places that are conserved land, or the one that the town's developed for the town office or the transfer station, because you're not going to be building anything, you're not going to build a housing unit on this property, I think. So that's why I just have the blurb there, and the map's going to be made that shows what's conserved land and what can't be developed anyways.
My concern was just how, not to be misleading, about how the tax acquired property is being handled over time. And I don't know how to describe it properly.
So there's 25 town-owned parcels. What we can have them do is, there's I think 11 of those are cemeteries. So we can have Julie designate what they are.
Julie is already working on it, and we'll have the detail for you that you requested soon.
And you could say, which may be sold in the future, if research shows they're habitable, yeah, good word, couldn't think of that word.
So I might just say, however, the purposes of this comprehensive plan, the acreage from these parcels are included in the total amount, since they may be sold in the future.
Yeah,
And we'll also verify that all of the properties that we're referring to are actually tax
So
acquired.
we shouldn't put a number in there. at
We
this
should
point.
not put a number. Wait until Julie gets the information together. She's being very careful about it.
And I don't think a number is
Yeah.
necessary with the plan at this point.
And then
Right.
we'll-
A national number, we don't need.
Right, it's like the capital investment plan, or whatever we called it, it's like the roads item, well, there are gonna be last minute additions. But other than the acreage number, the rest of that paragraph, good, I'm getting rid of institutional use, other institutional uses, including the Old West Bath Meeting House and Littlefield School, and adding on at the very end that are not included in the total amount, since they may be sold in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
Making progress. So, then at the bottom of 12-1.
Max, this is the missing information.
So this is just a chart of the building permits. Very similar to how you have it broken down in your town reports.
so you found 2012.
Calendar year 2012, yeah. So 2012 and 2020, I'm gonna have to fill in later.
Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And you said it doesn't add up correctly? So the totals per year don't add up correctly, you mean?
Yeah, some of these just didn't add up, but that's something that I'm gonna address. It might, I think it was, some things might have just been overlapping, and
Yeah.
I bet there was some logic to it, and I just need to figure out what it was.
You can do the math later, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Seeing that breakdown's fine. Was there any other changes to page 12-1? Okay.
All set.
Almost,
And then we get on to page 12-2, starting with table 12-2. And, yeah, what is the summer colony? And
there is no district that's summer colony. I wonder if it's supposed to be high-density shoreland.
Could be summer residence.
No, because that's not a district.
yeah, but like even in the report that Christine just gave me, it says right here, district in which the permits were issued.
Is
The
that
top one,
high-density maybe?
the top one just says summer colony.
And that's because of the,
The code enforcement
Title.
officer did it
Right.
that
I'm
way.
told to give it, that was titled, there's no district, nothing in it.
Right, that's why I didn't know if there was like some back and forth title or whatever.
No.
Because maybe it was the high density shoreline.
Yeah, I think-
Talking
I
about.
think Darlene's right.
That would be the only thing that would make any sense, it's the only thing that's left.
Right.
Because you've got, you know,
Yeah, that probably makes the most sense anyways.
Which is also part-time summer residences. At the same
Right.
We can just rename it.
Yeah.
yeah, can we just?
Well,
I mean,
can they
Chris-
correlate
well-
with the,
Yeah, Christine, I take it like all the old building permits from 2012 are still like in a file cabinet somewhere upstairs.
Yes, and some aren't even filed.
Okay.
Carly's working on it right now.
I mean, as long as I can find maybe one of them from 2012 that says summer colony, or any of them that said summer colony, I could probably take a good guess at where it's referring to then.
Yeah.
I can at least try that.
Can you explain the difference between residential, rural residential, and rural residential? I know what rural residential shoreland are, but I don't know the difference between residential and rural residential.
They're two different zones.
That's what your town report was
Yellow
saying.
and green,
that's in the rest of the.
yellow and green,
Different side,
R is rural residential and
different
R
side of
is
the road.
residential.
Okay,
Different side of the
I
road.
haven't seen this, so that's why I didn't know.
But it's also
It's
described
described.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
in
physical
the rest of
zones.
this.
yeah. It was just, that's how it was broken out in your town report. So that's what I put down as.
Those are the zones. Okay,
Yeah,
These are the old ones.
that's how I have the chart, saying totals and the percentage numbers. I assume that's all good.
Is that map gonna be in the report somewhere else?
That map, yes. Because it's
That's
supposed,
just my map.
oh yeah, but it's supposed to show like your current land. That's gonna be in there.
Well, you could reference that, whatever page that ends up on here in this,
Yeah.
that would be really good.
And as I said, what I'll probably have to do, I might, even if it's tomorrow, I'll swing by and just try and see if I can find Summer Colony and see all these, because they probably are in the districts that Darlene's
It's gonna
saying,
be high density.
but it's just, I would want to check a permit to confirm that.
I'm
And
not
then I'll make
seeing
a,
this,
and then I'll just reference
You're not
it
seeing what?
between tables.
I'm not seeing this one. I'm seeing residential and rural residential.
Rural
Not seeing that.
residential is two parts, rural residential,
But it's not
but
in
then
this.
if it's a shoreline,
It's not on the list, it has a special overlay zone, look for the
Oh, okay, so we
shoreline
don't have-
overlay zone, which is.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. It's the purple hatching and the red hatching.
Okay, thank you.
okay, next.
All right. And then table 12-3 is just estimating the number of building permits and new structures based on what we've seen in past tables. Again, this is me just using that same percentage breakdown that you see in table 12-2 and using that same trajectory. And I'm just including the 15% increase just to consider what's happened in the past few years. And the fact that I still can't find a house.
Are some of these supposed to be 12-2 instead of 12-1?
It's also supposed to reference 12-1, because 12-1 specifically says the new structures that have been built.
Okay.
So,
And what are you saving? Because you wanted to keep some tables from this other, so I'm kind of confused now on what are we keeping from this?
so if we save the ones that Darlene and I wanted, it would be 12-1 and 12-2.
The old 12 too.
That would make the permits, chart
Yeah,
on
it changes all your numbers.
12 on page 12-1, 12-3,
That was
Yes.
4 and 5.
Yeah, I mean,
and 12-4,
That's what I want to know.
and 12-5. I have a question though about what will be 12-5.
yes.
This sentence makes no sense.
Let's-
Well,
Paul, if it's
Hold
not,
on.
we have 3 questions. First question.
Paul,
I'm just wondering if that's useful at all, because it is, as you say, speculative.
That is
required.
Required.
It's required.
checklist
instead
items.
of star
So
with asterisk.
The state wants us to speculate. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I didn't see the asterisk.
Nice try, Paul.
Yeah,
Okay,
Estimate the minimum amount of land needed to accommodate projected residential, institutional, commercial for the 10 years in the future. And so that's just my speculation for what's gonna happen in 10 years.
Well, you're basing it on past history, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Even though past is
I
not
know.
prologue.
I know.
We've only got 33 people.
did you have a comment, Sandra? Sandra?
But I'm rereading it, and maybe it's because there's not an up in there. Remember, I'm a little fuzzy, I'm sorry.
Okay, Max, try again.
No, I guess we were just waiting on any other changes to page 12-2.
Yeah, no, it makes sense now that I rewrote it,
Okay.
sorry.
And, go ahead.
Sorry, the top, the right-hand column on 12-3, which is gonna be 12-5, total acres in minimum lots. You mean total
Total
acres based on minimum density?
Based on minimum
Density. So you're using a 2-acre lot for
The average.
Yeah.
the average. And actually, I think one of them is 3 acres, that's,
Rural residential, 3 acres.
yeah, so it's 19 times 3, not 38,
And that would be
so
in this case,
57,
rural residential is also 3 acres, and
right?
this is the same zone.
Rural residential
shoreline.
Yeah, those are all 3
Yeah,
acres.
because they're non-conforming, and then you don't really want to get into it.
So that's actually up there.
48?
I'm still, what are we changing that column to, total acres in?
Total acres based on minimum density. Yes.
Okay,
Lot size.
because that doesn't mean anything to do with the title on there now.
All right, any other changes?
Minimum density or minimum lot size? Minimum density?
Density.
Density?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Minimum
One's
lot
2,
size
one's
is-
3.
Okay.
Minimum lot size is more descriptive than density,
Okay.
Minimum lot
to
size.
me.
Lot size. Okay. And I made sure to note this at the bottom of page 12-2. Minimum lot size requirements are subject to change based on future revisions made in the land use ordinance. Because you were concerned about someone looking at it and saying, oh, this is, the comprehensive plan is saying that that's the minimum.
Oh, yeah, someone came and said they could do half-acre
Yeah,
density because it was in the comp plan.
no,
Really didn't understand what the comp plan was.
very similar.
Versus an ordinance, I think they were figuring we didn't know what the difference, I don't know. It's interesting.
Any other changes to page 12-2? David? No? Okay. So we're on to page 12-3, which is where we start section 12B, future land use plan. I don't think I even had that much changed from the last time we met.
Oh, sorry.
In the third paragraph, in the middle, fifth sentence, non-profit
Yeah.
recreational golf course.
I see, I see going on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Non-profit recreational country clubs.
Yeah. I think we could scratch that.
We don't need.
Look, I don't judge what you guys think built in my staff.
I'm not sure that's a use. Did you pull that out of the book?
That was, yeah,
That must have been the
it
third
was
one.
in your book, Chris.
It's
listed last time.
non-profit, not for
That's,
There is an email.
that is weird.
Look,
Okay.
look,
Isn't a non-profit golf course kind of not even a thing?
I'm going based on what your ordinance was, or not ordinance, comp plan was.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a
the comp
comp
plan.
plan.
I thought you said it was in the ordinance.
Let's scratch, let's
It
scratch
doesn't have a
that.
wish list.
Yeah, I'm like, it can't be in there.
And the second sentence, second sentence, town parkland.
scratch that?
I would say something, my opinion, yes.
Scratched it in other areas,
Yeah.
It is in there.
it's not realistic.
Town parkland?
We don't
Where?
have such thing.
Country clubs, golf courses, swimming pools, tennis courts, or other non-profit recreational club facilities. Is that what I got any of them?
Look, again,
Okay,
I
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I don't know what developers coming to West Bath offering to make a non-profit club.
Free membership, too.
Okay.
Guys must have had fun 2005.
Can
No,
I
it
ask,
was fun, it was fun.
can I ask about it's paragraph number 1, talks about West Bath should remain a rural community by conserving the bayside portion south of State Road. Is it bayside, riverside? You're talking about like the whole end of town, it's most of town,
It's the river.
it's considered bay, part of it's the bay,
Many
part of
bays.
it's the river. It
Waterfront
just is
side,
strange,
well,
shore,
Shoreland,
shoreline side.
but it's most of the town.
but shoreland covers any type of water.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna object to just.
How about just taking Bayside out, the portion of town south of State Road?
Yeah,
Can we, is that okay with everybody?
That sounds good.
Of town south of State Road?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of interior there.
Concerning what south of State Road?
Just conserving the portion south of State Road, get rid of Bayside.
Taking out Bayside.
And non-profit recreational country clubs.
That's rare, this gets approved and someone comes in the next day.
So where would,
I know, that's very,
the American Steel fall into that, because we have that now, that's not listed as a use, and under commercial.
It's not listed as
Wait,
a
what?
use, what are you talking about?
The only commercial activities.
Wait, where's?
We're still in paragraph one.
Same paragraph.
In paragraph 1.
The only commercial activities would be,
South of State Road.
yeah,
South of State
south of
Road.
State Road.
It's north, American Steel's north. of
State Road, the old
It's
road.
south of Route 1, but north of.
yeah, so to answer your question on that, in the paragraph that's right after it, number 2, accordingly, the north end of town, north of State Road, up to Route 1 should continue to be a mixed-use area that can accommodate uses such as municipal buildings, modestly-sized retail and service businesses, light commercial and research and development facilities, and then north of Route 1, the existing rural residential and residential areas would remain. This could include an appropriate density for mixed-use neighborhood. So it's those areas that you could,
It would be number 2.
yeah. So number 2 is where we can make some amendment, just to say commercial, instead of light commercial.
What line is that again, two?
Well, no, the heavy
Six
commercial is
cents.
supposed to be in the UDP,
Oh, right,
which is not there.
The next, that's number 4 is unique.
Yeah.
So it should stay light commercial. Oh, I don't know how light commercial the steel plant is, but. The last sentence in number 2 is talking about if the allowable densities of buildings were less than 1/2 acre. Shouldn't that be 1 acre? Because our densities now in commercial are 1 acre, not 1/2, I think. Oh, I know that, but I mean, should it be 1 acre instead of 1/2?
If your ordinance currently says 1 acre, then yeah.
It's one of those things, so it's 1 acre, but you can do 1/2 acre for additional, per use on one lot, it's a weird thing.
But after the first acre.
Yeah, after the first acre, you can do 1/2 acre.
Okay.
It's not an ordinance,
So it
it's
starts
not
with
gonna be,
1 acre.
Right.
this is not law, it's not the ordinance, it just seemed odd, but if you think since,
Well, so wait, if I did want to build in this area, it's 1 acre for the first building and then half an acre for the next?
And
1 acre for the first business, half an acre for the second one. Say they had an 8-acre lot, they could put, you know,
you have to
more
start
than
with 1
business on
acre.
it.
I think it's fine either way, because
Okay,
1
yeah,
acre is
yeah.
the minimum, and then 1/2 acre is all of those that are following it, so that's where you're trying to say that's where the most densities can be built, so.
Okay.
It's fine either way, I don't know if anyone has a preference.
All right.
So leave it like it is.
1/2.
Section 4, only is like crossed out, I think.
Yeah,
Your
that-
review thing just
yeah.
didn't work.
I just saw that.
And then I think after that, so it's like, there is vehicular access from Bath,
Zoning service.
comma, the zone, not and.
Okay. Anything else on page 12-3? Hearing none, we move on to 12-4.
At the top, number 5, that first sentence, it should say the entire urban development park zone,
Entire urban development park zone. Okay.
because there is water in part of it now,
Mm-hmm.
but not all of it. And then it's an extension of the Bath Water District Public Water Supply Service would be needed. Not in the area. Maybe.
But didn't Bath say they could not handle any expansion of that?
No, I don't think so.
No, Bath
Need to
won't,
be a major.
Bath won't go south of Route 1. They can extend up into the urban development one, there's property obviously, but they don't see any reason to go south of Route 1.
Okay.
And that's talking about the water too, not the sewer. The sewer they don't wanna do, but. Number 6,
Mm-hmm.
should Barry's Mill and Campbell's Pond roads be in there also? You're talking about the south end of town, including Foster's Point, Back Cove, Mill Cove, Dam Cove, Sabino. Barry's Mill and Campbell's Pond are
The same
More.
area.
more major
Sure,
roads
sure.
than Dam Cove, Mill Cove.
And you have to go on Berry's Mill to get to Salino.
Right,
And Quaker Point.
So,
on Quaker Point,
so including Barry's Mill,
Barry's Mill, Campbell's Pond, Quaker Point.
And you probably should say Austin Road.
Is that one big?
Oh no, it's close to the radio tower, so that has the same.
Austin Road.
Yeah, but you don't want
It's
to
the
list
same.
every single road down there, do you?
Well, if
Just
you're gonna-
the major ones.
If you're gonna list the roads, you might as well list the roads, I think. It's another area of the town.
What about Shoal Cove? Does that take a little from
No, I suppose you should mention those roads.
Maybe just say the entire south end of town will continue to be mixture of low density, and just skip out all the roads.
Yeah, good.
You could, it's just, I mean, Barry's Mill is one of the major ones, Barry's Mill, Mill Road,
In Foster's Point. If you say,
Campbell's Point, Campbell's Pond, I mean.
somehow mention Foster's Point and Berry's Mill Road in roads off of
Accessible,
those.
yeah, roads accessible
Off
from there.
those
Including areas accessible by Barry's Mill and Foster.
in Foster's Point, yeah. And that'll cover all of it.
You wanna put Hill Road on there?
No, because that'll be covered by both
Yeah,
Berry's Mill and
Both
Foster's
Berry's Mill,
Point.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You probably would have to put Campbell's Pond Road though.
That's off of Berry's Mill too.
Or 209.
It
That's
tech,
So-
kind of what we just said.
So So number 6 will read, the entire south end of town, including areas accessible by Berry's Mill and Foster's Point, will continue to be a mixture of low density, primarily single family housing, da 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 da.
And
Berry's Mill Road and Foster's Point.
do we still like cottage colonies? Seasonal, property, seasonal dwellings,
You should call it seasonal dwellings.
Yeah,
that's in 6 as well.
Yeah.
cottage colony is seasonal dwelling.
With the term colonial outposts.
Well, cottage colonies makes it sound like, there are places like that that have like one well and all the rest.
There used to be
It's
more of
not
that.
quite like that.
Used to be more than that 75 years ago.
All right. So with those changes done to number 6, is there anything else for page 12-4?
Down under growth areas, like the third sentence down, recommend growth areas in West Bath are presented below based upon existing zoning districts with and without, there's like ones in there, I think,
Yeah,
that needs to
Take
be.
out the ones with and without recommended modifications.
Right. And then the last sentence in the last paragraph, and are approved at town meeting.
Yeah, okay. I see that.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I got that.
I know I do this stuff all the time, so I let you put in there so much.
Well, we keep going
To
back
see
and
that
forth
stuff.
on future
Yeah.
tense and past tense.
Yeah, I know, it's tough.
All right. Anything else for page 12-4? Hearing none, we'll go on to 12-5. And, that's the same. I don't know why that whole thing is underlined.
Yeah,
I hope,
Because you could do it.
because you can.
I might have just, maybe it was a correction I had to do. But I'm getting rid of those underlines, as in just, the words are there, I'm just getting rid of them.
The UDP, the first one, I think adding roadways to the fact that there are roadways along the public sewer and water in part of the park, in the UDP zone.
So
like
just say,
roadways and Bath Public Sewer and Water serving
The
the
southern
southern end of the area, because there are roads installed.
I can add a sentence right after it, the utilities run along the listed,
Existing.
the listed, utilities. Okay?
Can you say that sentence again?
So, the first sentence pretty much stays the same. The new sentence right after it is, the utilities run along the utilities run along the existing roadway,
It's paved too, I don't know if that matters, but.
the paved road.
um,
Utilities run along the paved road.
And then they have, well, I think I just misread this, I'm thinking north end of the UDP, but it's not, it's that it's in the north end.
Can I just ask a kind of a general question about pattern of language for status? Because that's very specific under the UDP with a lot of description, but then there's a pattern where it goes, the overlay zone was approved by the town of West Bath. And then the next one, it'll say, if I go to on 12.6, business and commercial district, this is a district that's established by the town. I mean, I don't understand, I guess.
So originally you had just saying, I think existing or proposed or just some one word thing.
Yeah,
So this is me just saying the status is the zone exists.
okay. I just was gonna say, maybe the same language, shows that whether established, approved, or, and again, does the timing matter, whether, you know, what year or whatever. It was just, whereas that first one, the UDP, there's more of a descriptor.
To be honest, maybe you don't even need the status. I think for the UDP one, you could just move everything that was there and put it under the utilities. The overlay zone, that can be removed, and that little sentence can just be included under the purpose. Same thing with the special and industrial overlay zone, just put that under purpose. It's a sub-area of the business commercial zone.
Okay.
So-
Yeah,
We've also got to
it
put a
like
mobile
it's-
home, is really where it says it's approved.
Right, and
He's gonna move that.
so, yeah, it's just gonna say, the purpose is, it's an overlay zone in the town of West Bath. Just simply saying it's theirs purpose. And then you don't have to deal with this status item anymore. Is that all right with everyone, or?
Yes.
Yes. Under, oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine.
All right.
Under density of the UDP, it says if public sewer were provided, now it is provided in some of the UDP, so how about where public sewer is available?
It's available.
Because it is in some of it.
Where are you?
We're under density.
Density,
I'm on density under the UDP.
Higher
Top
density.
of the
12.5.
page.
12.5.
So where public sewer is available, higher densities may be considered.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, available, okay.
Other changes?
The mobile home overlay zone?
Yep.
Under the location, it does abut the north side of the state road, but it's also on the south side of Route 1. It goes all the way up to the south side of Route 1.
This boundary line goes as far south as Route 1.
Yeah, this is abuts north side of the state road, comma, south side of Route 1, comma, at the boundary line with the city of Bath. Just stick that in the middle.
So it butts north side of State Road at the boundary line with the city of Bath, comma,
And south side of Route 1.
and south side of Route 1. Okay?
And then along in the utilities, there is water service available on the state road. So it just says,
Okay.
Yes, just along the state road.
yeah, just along the state road. Well, right, so it's still available, you just have to tie into that and go on.
Right.
I'm sorry, which one are we on?
Utilities.
Mobile home
Utilities.
overlay zone, utilities, it says Bath Water District Public Water Supply. It doesn't go all the way in, but it is services available along the state road.
Bath Water District Public
Public
Water
water
Supply
supply
is
service
available.
available along state road. Might
On
just
state.
describe it a little better.
Alright, and then, 12-6, special industrial and transportation overlay. As I said, the status item is gonna get removed, it's gonna be thrown into purpose. Any other changes on 12-6? Oh, yeah, and the underlined thing.
Yeah. The utilities, it is true, there are no municipally owned, meaning West Bath owned utilities available, but the Bath Water District does run along the road out in front of the special industrial and transportation overlay zones.
Because it doesn't affect hydrants and all that, too.
Right, so,
So the Bath Water District, it's the same thing as the mobile home one, the Bath Water
Right.
District is available along State Road.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we have water from State Road in Bath all the way to Brunswick, and then it goes down New Meadows all the way to the school, and then it goes down Foster's Point halfway to here.
2 offs.
So for the utilities, I'm just saying,
And that's just
So it's
water, that's just
identical?
water, not sewage.
Right.
Right, so
water supply is available along State.
State Road, New Meadows Road, and Foster's Point, because there's that overlay on all three of those,
It mentions all of them.
on all three of those roads.
Okay.
And there is water in front of all three of those zones,
Alright,
all three of those areas.
alright, so.
But no reference to public sewer, the way it is on mobile home overlay.
We just-
No, there's no,
We could,
there's
you could
some-
just mention, I guess, to clarify, there's no public sewer.
oh, yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying, Leah, so
Just
just
'cause
on the home overlay, mobile home overlay zone, you made comment that
mention
it
of
would
the
likely
public
be a
sewer.
part of a public sewer service area in the event public sewer was installed in town.
So just add some lines saying there's no sewer,
there's no,
available,
it wouldn't be, so.
public sewer.
Public sewer bill.
Yeah, unless you wanted to copy the same sentence from the mobile home overlay zone. Your choice.
This would likely be part. So the mobile home overlay zone utilities, just say there's no public sewer available, or is that just a special industrial one?
So I think what Leah was saying is that it should be consistent, so if under mobile home overlay zone, you're gonna put would likely be part of a public sewer service area, then we should probably put that on the other ones also.
I mean, is that true? Would it be? Yeah, asking that more as a question.
I would think it would be.
It should be noted that, it should be noted that it's there,
Right.
public
Yeah.
sewer. Somehow it should be noted it's available. I mean, water.
Water.
Absolute water.
Wait, what?
Alright.
And then I think under density, you've got not changes instead of no changes. For all of them.
Okay. Anything else?
Under the business and commercial, I looked up the location. So it's not just south of US Route 1 and north of State Road, it's also a 500 foot wide band along south of State Road along the entire road. See all the pink? So it's really also here, and then it goes down Foster's Point to a certain spot too, so I don't know how. So it's 500 feet deep south of State Road.
500 feet
Wide.
south of US Route 1.
Nope, State Road.
State road.
State Road.
Yeah, so it's from US Route 1 to State Road, and then 500 feet wide swath south of State Road.
Along with State Road, 500 feet south of State Road.
And then 30 feet wide east and west of Foster's Point.
East and west.
30 feet,
300 feet.
or 300,
300 feet east and west of Foster's Point. It's gotta be, I don't know. That's 500, it's gonna be like 1,500 feet or something like that. It's just a weird.
Yeah,
And then it's from New Meadows Road to the river, from State Road north to the, I don't know how you want it.
It's a easy to diagram, right?
Or you
I-
could just use the definition in the ordinance that
I'll-
calls it out.
See map,
I was about to
See
say,
the
I'll do
map?
that to see the exact boundaries, please refer to the map.
yeah.
Yeah, you can do that too.
I think
It
that makes
just,
more sense
it
that
was,
people
it
look it
was
up.
missing some of it, that's all.
See map on page, whatever.
Refer to the map.
for details.
rather than try to describe the whole thing.
Yeah, and then the utility one is the same as the special industrial and transportation overlay zone. Because business and commercial has,
Same way.
there's water on State Road, New Meadows, and Foster's Point.
Backside district runs on State Road and there's
State
no sewer.
Road, New Meadows Road, and half a
Foster's
mile down Foster's Point.
And just say that there's no sewer.
Correct.
Alright. Anything else on 12.6? Well, and the status item is gonna be merged, it's just gonna be removed since,
Mm-hmm.
so anything else on 12.6? Not, we'll move on to 12.7, where it starts with the rural areas.
The first paragraph.
So is that whole thing
1, 2,
required?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Census town. Town purchase of critical wildlife habitats.
Sure.
Would be undertaken?
It's got a star.
I know.
Well, yeah, hold on, let me see that.
Would be,
I'm just not sure if that's,
would be considered?
Would be considered,
that's better than would be undertaken, yes. Which would need to be considered or something like that.
That need to be considered. I'm sorry, that didn't seem like you had something to me.
Oh, I thought that you were still.
Yeah, no, I
missing.
was, go ahead.
The last 4 words in that paragraph, so it's other methods for open space preservation may also be studied, including transfer of development rights. I don't understand what that is. Transfer of development rights to
Conservation.
whom? Or,
Land trust, town, whoever wants to hold a conservation easement.
So,
right, but it sounds like it's transferring the right to develop something, and that's the opposite of that.
of development rights to
somebody
conservation.
else.
And he says to conservation, it's then bringing it back in.
But conservation doesn't develop anything.
Right.
It's,
A lot of,
am I?
no, everything that you're seeing in all these statements, these were from your current comp plan as well.
Doesn't make it right.
Which we're adapting a little bit.
Yeah,
Doesn't make
which-
it right.
yeah.
Is that a state thing?
right now, the state thing is just saying, what are your growth areas and what are your rural areas? How you
Okay.
describe them, you guys can do, like,
I'm gonna take out that sentence.
I just think it needs to be something else. Other methods for open space preservation may also be studied.
just that ended there.
Can we just end it, because I don't know what transfer of development rights
If you're
is.
donating your land to
Why don't you just
conservation.
put a period after study?
Yeah,
Can
I'm
we
fine
do
with
that?
Yeah. Yeah, the state just wants to know what's considered a growth area
Mm-hmm,
and what's considered a, well, not a growth area or a rural area.
right.
All this description that's in that paragraph,
Yeah,
you're not married to anything. It's mostly the residential zone, rural residential zone, high density shoreline, that's what they're gonna care more about.
So that's what the stars were.
Yeah, it's just saying, we're addressing the rural areas.
the second paragraph,
I'm just assuming you
the second paragraph,
did.
all county roads should be considered, we didn't even, most of the roads have been discontinued, they aren't county roads anymore, they've discontinued, so it's,
Right,
they belong to the landowners on either side, halfway.
right.
Are those considered ancient roads?
They're discontinued, and they're not, it's.
They're no longer, it's private.
The county the land reverts to the butters.
So it should just go.
I don't think it should be in there. That's my opinion.
Well, I don't know, we just got somebody using our driveway because it's an ancient road to get to their property.
That's
Well-
because they've been doing it for 25 years,
That's
that's legal,
different.
right?
Different.
No, they didn't, they just.
But anyhow, let's, back to this
Yeah,
paragraph.
so, yeah, this paragraph's just saying, when the planning board's getting a subdivision application, those old roads should be in consideration, but I don't know.
But they're discontinued.
Yeah,
So they shouldn't be mentioned if they're
For
not.
a subdivision, you only have to develop the road for which you're using to get to the houses on the subdivision. To ask for them to continue down an old trail another three, it just doesn't make any sense, I don't think.
So when you say they're discontinued, how do you, I mean, these are multiple locations.
The county.
How did that happen?
Over the years, the county discontinued them.
At the county level?
They were county roads.
They were county roads, but the county said no more. They're,
Because they weren't being
Just not
used, there were no houses.
And not
To
to
use
use
them
them
around
as
So,
when we're doing.
Strike the paragraph?
I would say,
Okay.
strike the paragraph.
I think so, I would.
All right. And I assume the same thing. All these statuses that just say the district was approved by the town of West Bath,
Status quo.
just get rid of
Get rid
that.
of the status. So under purpose of residential zone,
Yeah.
proposed, maybe proposed, but that new subdivisions be required to consider being clustered, which we already do that. So is this just? Zahid,
Yeah, I remember.
so it's not really proposing,
Do you encourage open space?
yeah,
Encourage that new open spaces.
but see, this is requiring open space dedicated for residents.
Encourage,
So it's-
encourage that new subdivisions consider cluster, get rid of the be required.
No, they are required to consider clustering,
Oh,
and maybe it's and encouraged
To enhance open space.
to provide,
Suppose that new subdivision be required to,
consider being clustered, we already do that. Just, or how about new subdivisions
new subdivisions are
be
required.
required to consider being clustered and encouraged to provide permanent open space.
New subdivisions are required to consider being clustered. Maybe you can just get rid of that sentence. Because I think the only reason that was there was because it was just proposed at the time.
Let's get rid of it.
Sure, yeah, I just, it wasn't accurate, so I figured we'd change it, or we can get rid of it, I don't care. Is Winnigan
So
a
the
lake
whole
or a
sentence.
pond?
I think the
Yes,
last
that's
sentence
what it
under purpose
The whole thing?
The whole thing's gone.
is gone.
The whole sentence?
Whole sentence.
Under purpose.
Under purpose, right after shoreline areas, strike it.
Okay. So Christine, Winnegans is listed on our zone map here as a pond. It's really a lake.
Oh,
So that's what
Okay.
was throwing me, because it's a pond all the way through, or lake all the way through the document, which is correct.
So lake is correct.
lake is correct.
That's correct.
And that's what we've been doing.
That's what we've been using.
Lake
Lake
is correct.
correct now. Oh,
Yeah, we've been using lake.
We've been doing that.
Even though the map says pond. So sorry.
Lake is a
No, I know it's been going back and forth between lake and pond throughout this whole document.
Well, because I keep looking at this and it says pond, so I'm marking out lake to pond.
All right. Any other changes?
Under the utilities, the same water goes down State Road, New Meadows, and Foster's Point,
No sewer.
and no sewer.
So it's gonna be the same wording.
The Bath Water District, water
Yeah,
supply.
same
available.
wording as the other ones,
Insert.
please. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question. Since that water is provided to us by Bath, that's correct?
Bath Water District.
Right.
Yeah.
If a whole bunch of people start using it, isn't Bath gonna say, hey, you know, we're not equipped to have these many people hook on and
I don't-
ask something from us?
Don't
People
think,
pay for the water, it's not free.
it's,
Right, I know, but it
that would be up to them, but I've never heard of that being proposed at all. I suppose it could be at some point, but if you had to.
because, you know, a water plant can only produce so much water, and then you have to upgrade, and we don't know.
Well, we all, the people served all pay into it.
Yeah, and usually whenever someone wants to hook up to this, water system, the water district has to consider that.
Yeah.
So if they can't handle the capacity, and someone's signing on to it,
And
then,
they would say no.
Okay,
Say no,
I just was curious, since we don't own it.
right, they'll either deny it or they'll tell the person, we can hook you on, but you need to pay like an extra $1,000 so that we can improve the capacity. Is rural residential zone gonna be the same thing with the utilities?
Yes. And under purpose, it also has the new subdivisions required to consider being clustered and permanent open space be dedicated.
Sounds like we're gonna get rid of that.
Sounds familiar.
Might as well be consistent. Right?
What are we doing with utilities?
We just
Listing that it's provided along New Meadows and
But not sewer.
State
The waters
road,
are not
yeah.
sewer, just to
Okay.
clarify it.
Charleston.
Yeah.
Okay. But is that true in rural residential?
Yeah.
Yeah, just for this.
Different side of the road.
Oh, wait a minute, you know what? He's right. There isn't any rural residential. It's
Right.
all residential up there.
On the water side?
Yeah. Over here.
I don't think there's
There's
any
no-
water
there's no
in
water
rural
up there.
Yeah,
residential.
so that's,
Down,
that's-
down
You're
Foster
right.
Point?
It only goes to here.
So there are no public utilities in the rural
Sorry.
residential.
that's,
No, that's fine.
Correct.
yeah.
Good catch.
Maybe we wouldn't have been lying either way. Just saying.
If you want to be really technical, there's water over here in the corner. You don't really want to do that.
Alright.
High density shoreland, are we calling them historic cottage colonies?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, I think we just said the
That's-
same thing.
It makes it
But
sound
also
like they're
purpose.
historical society, protected colonies and.
It's also not what's happening, I mean.
No.
But I was gonna say, there's a lot else that needs to be,
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know, just like
And
purpose.
it's not the purpose to preserve those
No.
cottages.
No, it's just the purpose of
So,
a zone where it's really dense.
so the purpose is to,
I mean, there are restrictions about new building and how close, I don't know how you say that. but-
Well, it's,
But
it's,
it's not,
Well,
there's no
maybe-
preservation
well,
involved.
maybe give me a little background on the high density shoreline zone.
It's certain areas like it's,
are
Sabino,
super,
Birch
super.
Point,
It's
with
just dense.
where cottages are made before,
Right.
they made year-round, and new houses built in those areas.
Yeah, there's some that there's like 4 or 5 houses in a pretty small area of land.
It was made to cover the fact that the density is much smaller than anywhere else in town.
And the
Much
lots,
higher.
Higher density.
the lots were so close
Higher.
together, it's smaller
Higher
lots.
density.
Higher,
it's
yeah,
more
it's
dense.
higher, yeah.
Smaller
More
lots.
dense.
So the purpose was to,
Smaller lots.
so
Higher
the
density.
purpose was to allow smaller lots due to the historical development in that area.
They
That's
had
its
it, they had it
accessibility,
before,
accessibility to the shore.
yeah, before zoning laws and that
Existed
happened.
before this zoning.
Hmm.
I mean, historically,
was
these were
developed.
cottage colonies, but they, whatever you want to call them.
Is there like is there like
It was-
an outlined purpose in the ordinance that says
I don't,
why these districts were made?
I don't think so.
no,
I can look.
the purpose to try to alleviate,
Was it just to recognize what was already there?
Yeah, it was just to
I mean,
accommodate the very, yeah, and even in teeny little sub-districts.
So
It doesn't really say why.
accommodate non-conforming lots in the shoreline zone.
Accommodate
sounds
very
good.
small
That's good.
non-conforming lots in the shoreline zone,
That sounds
something like
good.
that.
that's good.
That's exactly what that's for. There's a bunch of little ones.
Accommodate non-conforming lots in the shoreline zone that were developed before the existence of the drainage plans.
Yes. And put very small lots.
Accommodate.
Their grandfather did as a
Yeah.
way to talk about them too.
Non-conforming, yeah.
Non-conforming grandfather, there's, you guys decide to accommodate extremely tiny pieces.
Very small lots.
Very small, non-conforming lots.
Non-conforming sounds good, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very small. Sorry.
And then when you did locations, you've got the list of the roads, but we need like the word roads at the end.
Were you gonna say that existed before,
I would say it existed before the zoning district was
Right.
is that what I
defined.
said?
Before it's-
That were developed prior to the adoption of the land use ordinance.
Yes.
Right. And it's Shoal Cove, not roads.
Do we want to get the same thing of dealing with all these roads?
Well, these are very specific.
No, it's also, yeah, you're gonna have, make a point at
Zoning
this point in time
district
too.
is defined.
Like basically the law and
Yes,
it's
that's
all.
what I would word it. We'll see.
The mountain road.
A good example of that is that one property that doesn't have a septic tank, you know, because the lot's so small.
Well, it talks about that in there too, but there's nothing on here that shows breaker point. This is Sabino.
I'm just saying that, I know on the mountain road, there's a lot of grandfathered small lots.
Some of those
Small.
lots.
Right, but there is no zone there.
I know, but that's one of those.
Don't muddy the water. But there's no physical zone. I mean, so it's Brigham's. I didn't check it.
Should you also have Houghton Pond Road in here?
Nope.
There's a lot of those.
There's a zoning map that shows where that zone is.
They have to change
And
the
Houghton
zones.
Pond is not on there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, because it's an oil.
Well, I'm gonna have that same sentence from before, to see the exact boundaries, refer to the map found in appendix A.
That works.
So get rid of all the road items, and just say to see the exact boundaries, refer to the map.
Sure.
That sounds better.
Maybe that will help get rid of all the road issues again.
Yep.
Okay. Other changes?
Passive recreation. Can you define that?
Where are you?
Yeah, which one is this?
Land uses,
Yeah, under high density.
Passive recreation.
high density.
Passive recreation is supposed to be, I can just show up there and play around, whereas with, I think they call it active. That's where I actually have to build something like a tennis court or an arena to do something. Passive recreation is, I just show up
And throw a frisbee.
and throw a frisbee. It's an open space pretty much. Or trails, or, you know, if there's just a big open pond, I can just jump in it just to swim around. But, if it's,
No soccer fields.
no soccer fields, no tennis courts, no,
Okay.
no Gillette stadiums.
Under the utilities, are all the 4 OBDs in the high density shoreline?
They're only for the entire town.
Right, I'm
Yeah.
asking, are they in the,
Sure.
are they all in the high density shoreline zone?
He's gonna look it up.
Yeah, let me find,
What are OBDs?
Overboard
Overboard
discharge.
discharge.
Pardon?
Overboard discharge. They
Okay.
charge special state license.
let's see.
Onboard diver.
There's one on King,
Yeah, I mean, all 4 were in the same spot. I think it was like,
Shoal Cove, Kings Point.
yeah,
I'm guessing that they probably are, but
there's one in Sabino, there's.
It just
Hall,
doesn't-
Sabino
it
House.
says that all 4 OBDs are located on Rosedale Road.
Which is off Kings Point.
yeah,
I thought.
right. Yeah, so that's all in the high density. It just doesn't, should it say that they're all in the,
I would
As it
say
is-
located located the high density, because they're all in, if that's where they all are.
Oh, it's in that section.
As of this date,
It implies it, but-
all 4 OBDs operating in West Bath are in this zone, maybe?
Yeah,
As of the state,
All
all 4 OBDs
operating
operating
in West
in
Bath
Bath,
are in this area,
this
in this zone.
zone. And then please refer to section 7, critical natural and water resources for more details.
All right?
I really marked up the density one, I'm sorry.
For high density
That's
shoreline?
really confusing.
Yep.
I don't know what the hell it is.
Because it
Yeah.
read funny. So I mean, if the minimum lot size is 1 acre unless the lot is a legally non-conforming lot,
Period.
or if it is located, no, what was I? If it is located,
I had no idea how to write this up. Just
yeah, it's
because
terrible.
of
I know, it's hard, and I looked it up and I did some researching it too, and it was hard. The minimum lot size is 1 acre unless the lot is a legally non-conforming lot, or is a lot designated 1F, Birch Point, in the minimum lot standards table, period. Lot 1F, Birch Point, has a 2 acre minimum, and then that's it. Does that make sense?
Right, unless you're gonna reverse it, there's only one lot that is required to have 2 acre, everything else is 1.
But it's not actually a lot, it's a area designated 1F.
Yeah.
We have to clean this up when we're going through the ordinance.
I know, that's what I'm, yeah,
And-
I don't disagree with you.
If you
Yes.
have like kind of a generic
Yeah,
sentence like she said, and then you can,
yeah. Darlene, you'll have
Can
to,
you make sense of that?
we'll go over that after this. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm-
maybe just write it out.
For all of our lots excluding
She's
1
gonna write
F.
it, she's gonna write it out.
I got it. It just, it was a tough one to write, and I
Yes.
just couldn't follow it really well. I'm like, this is doing, so where it is.
And then I might include a sentence in there just saying, you might try and get like a more consistent across the board one for this zone. Or something like that, we can talk about that after the meeting.
Okay,
Okay, so after high density shoreland, that's the shoreline overlay zone in general. And
I think you need pond after Campbell, under location. 'Cause you've got Campbell, it's Campbell Pond, Campbell's Pond, right? There's an S in that.
I keep seeing that both ways.
I don't think there is an S, I think it's Campbell Pond.
No, you're right, Campbell Pond, no S.
Alright,
So it's Campbell Pond and Winnigan's Lake, because it's not a pond, I thought it was a pond. And then what about Berry's Mill Pond? That on the map has got shoreline overlay zone wrapped right around it,
I believe it's large enough,
right there.
yeah,
I just think it missed
Yeah.
the list,
it should be there.
and maybe in the old comp plan it wasn't in there either.
which one?
Berry's Mill Pond. And then I'm curious, why isn't Houghton Pond in there?
It should be, it's 18 acres.
Which one?
Berry Mill Pond, right here?
Oh yeah, I got that one, you said Holmes?
Oh, Houghton, yeah, it's. Trying.
It's actually a great pond.
I don't think you guys just included that.
We did at some point, we discussed it earlier in some reference, but we can include it now, right?
Yeah, that can actually just be one of the ordinance amendments that you just include Home Pond as a shoreline zone.
And then we'll have to add that to the map, you see?
Well, Home Pond, we would add to the updated map when we do the use ordinance.
Right.
Wait, hold on, what are you talking about?
I was mentioning it to Christine, so she had it on her radar that we'd have to change that
It's
on the
not-
map.
Oh, okay.
The first paragraph. Town should examine, including a district for working waterfront. Isn't that already,
That was, Christine, I think you brought up the working waterfront item.
Yeah, it was mentioned a few times by members of the public. We do not have a working waterfront district.
doesn't the state have that?
Our ordinances are missing language that the state has. So they're out of date, which pertain to working waterfronts, which make it hard for us to make decisions on any of that.
So do we need that sentence there?
Yeah, I don't think we're required to have a working waterfront district, but we certainly could. The state has language for it.
But maybe we should put it as something that's a possibility that.
Well, that's what it
Well, that's
says.
what it says.
How should
Town
you,
should also examine, including a district for working waterfront areas.
should you,
Well, the status is gonna be, that status item is gonna be removed entirely, but that specific thing, talking about working waterfront, you could put it under land uses, for example, under shoreline overlay zone, should examine, wait, I guess that's fine under purpose. Town examine, including a district for working waterfronts,
should, so going,
Designating working waterfront.
designating a working waterfront.
so going forward, just kind of clarify, Max, is this something you work with the planning board?
Yeah, so
To
what?
incorporate this working waterfront into our zoning?
Yeah, so with the shoreline overlay zone, what you could do is, just make some other districts in the shoreline zone, like there's the resource protection, that's one every town has. Some will do like a general development zone, which allows you to build closer to the water. And then some towns have a commercial maritime fishery zone, which is kind of what the working waterfront is, where you could just build boat ramps and everything right off the water, because it's meant to be a working waterfront.
Because we have an agriculture zone, right, within 250 feet of the water?
Agriculture?
Agriculture.
Aqua.
Aqua.
Yes, but some of the things that the state has in their language, making aquaculture businesses,
So it's a working water.
legal, making aquaculture businesses legal, we don't have in our ordinances, so there was pushback. And then we tried to add them back in, and then there was outcry of certain neighborhoods that didn't want it, and so it was a problem.
So it's something we gotta work on.
So it's something we need to work on in the ordinance. So there are rules and requirements in the state ordinances that we do not have that would support aquaculture and fisheries along the shore. So it's a problem,
Okay,
which is maybe different than this.
it's something to be dealt with. Okay.
So,
So is that gonna go under land uses?
yeah, just as a recap for everything that happens in the shoreline overlay zone changes, that status is being struck, and all of that's gonna be moved under purpose. And then, under locations, I'm including Barry's Mill Pond, and I'm making a note at the end of it. Houghton Pond?
Yes,
Houghton.
Okay, good.
Houghton,
I just want to be sure.
H-O-U-T-O-N.
I always get
You could say
Houghton Pond. Okay, good.
Hooten Pond and Sabino.
Sabino and
I was gonna say like,
Sabino.
I was gonna say like Houston, Hugh Pond. Anyways, Houghton Pond is currently not, under locations, I'm saying Houghton Pond is currently not listed in this district, which will be examined by the planning board.
There's no access to it at all, is there?
No, it's all
Because
private.
everybody's private.
It's all private access. All the landowners have access to it.
Houghton Pond?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just making a note that the planning board's gonna examine whether it should be in the shoreline overlay zone.
Okay,
It has to follow the requirements, but there's no public access to it.
okay,
Okay.
moving along.
And then I'll have that for high density.
about utilities under the shoreline overlay, because that wording is, the water and sewer systems available in the,
Oh, that's supposed to mean
what
that,
does that mean?
so that just means not every shoreline zone, because it's an overlay district,
May be available, I mean,
right, it depends on the district that's underneath it. So
oh,
Right.
the shoreline zone that goes over the business, commercial, or the utility, urban development district,
the sentence doesn't.
those
make
might
sense.
have the utilities.
It's in.
Could you just say may be available? I mean, instead of,
I can say refer to the land use zone, it's maybe,
I think she's saying water and sewer systems may be available based on the
Based
underlying
on-
zoning districts.
maybe available based on
That
underlying
goes better.
zoning districts.
thank you.
Then resource protection overlay zone, I think that whole status can be removed. Yeah, the status item can be removed with everything else being, status items can be removed, everything after existing is just gonna be moved to purpose.
Mhm.
Are the locations correct?
Yeah,
I think so.
I checked it.
Anything for resource protection overlay zone? Hearing none, we then get into the trends. And I guess I just have the one blue highlighted area, if we want to include that. There's the act to stabilize property taxes on homesteads of individuals who are 66 years of age or older. That's potentially being amended by this stage.
Right, it looks like it's gonna be amended, so we can.
Right, so I don't know if we want to leave that in there. Or just remove that. And
Or maybe you would just make it a proposed tax benefit yet to be.
well, it's already been
It's
passed,
law now.
It's a law now,
It's
but
a
it
law now.
will probably
It's gonna be
but I don't know,
amended.
but I don't know how amended it's be.
If you just put in a short sentence about, there is a law, but as of the writing of this plan,
In the process of-
there are many amendments being proposed,
Right.
they deal with this.
How's it running? Being considered. Okay, and then after that, there's the few full-time coastal fishing families. 2005, the state legislature passed some coastal relief for fishing families that's still active to provide some tax incentives and preserving working waterfronts. I don't know if you want me to just keep that in there as well. Because the whole,
Yeah, that's still there.
yeah, okay. Yeah, the whole purpose of that blue area where this is just some legislation to provide some tax incentive or tax relief for preserving people who are living in the area, so I guess I can now leave that.
In the first paragraph, the second into third sentence, inquiries from in and out of states, out of state will continue. or may continue or should continue. You can, I don't know if it will continue or not, that's a,
May continue.
much, yeah.
Outward movement.
It's all supposition.
Right. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Well, based
Oh,
on
outward, oh,
projections.
okay.
Yeah, read internet until then.
Yeah, but
I know,
projections,
I'm kidding, I'm
projections,
kidding.
you have to
I'm
use those nice
kidding.
We
languages,
just-
may, you don't know if they will.
He just threw that in there for us, for our benefit.
So it's the outward movement of families exiting, leaving the,
Hmm.
I'm trying to make sure what the sentence is trying to say. The outward movement of families?
From in and out of state.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah,
I
but
just think the sentence, it's that second sentence, it just
why
doesn't
just
really make sense
delete the
to me.
word outward, the movement of families?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
But you mean out of their
Yeah.
places and into ours?
Yeah.
who's
the movement of
Which
families
direction
and
are we in?
retirees
Yeah.
from in and out of state will
Okay, yeah,
continue.
much better, okay.
Good catch.
That would be right.
Yeah.
Any other changes for the trends?
In the second paragraph where it says, in seasonal homes for affluent families. Is that, it just sounds plain to me, but
Where's-
Just take affluent families out. Seasonal homes will continue.
We'll likely continue.
Yeah, except that's true.
it is
The
true,
trend.
but it is a trend.
It
It's
drives
the
the
word
trend.
affluent that you don't like, right?
Well, I don't like it either, but it's a fact,
Rich,
right?
I know, it is, but it may not be in all cases.
Oh, I know, but it does drive the marginal price.
For more affluent families?
Yeah, but you don't need to say it.
Seasonal
Yeah.
homes for
The
individuals.
sense
who apply
of the
for
sentence
cash.
without that in there is
Yeah.
the same.
You take the word affluent out. It
Right.
still says the same thing in a less annoying way.
For recent retirees and seasonal homes will continue.
Okay,
Seasonal homes.
it's true.
Okay.
I think on that, just above the blue thing, it says the cost for near shoreland may be expected to increase instead of also rise.
Any other changes for the trend section or the land use section in general?
In the, when it says, because it's expensive to build new subdivision roads, you're in the middle of the last paragraph. It's like village may seek larger subdivisions, larger land acquisitions.
May seek larger land acquisitions, so.
To capitalize, you're not seeking a subdivision, you're seeking land to make a subdivision.
So you're saying land acquisitions?
Yes.
Capitalizing, okay.